In this lesson, we will create a stretchy control for the character's left elbow. Let's get started by creating an expose node. We know that the forearm is locked down by an orientation constraint, so we'll need to go in and still find the bend axis, which we know to be the z-axis. So we'll head over to Create, Helpers, and let's go ahead and grab Expose TM. Taking a look at the display, we can go ahead and have this set to an axis tripod. And we could also make sure that its size is set to about 2. That should be fine. I'll go ahead and align this to the forearm with Alt-A. Let's take a look at our settings. That looks good. Let's also make sure that this is stored in our hidden layer. And we'll rename this to Expose L Forearm 01. Alright, so it's now time to link to the forearm bone and expose the same. So we'll go ahead and scroll up. And let's now go ahead and select the forearm. Once we have that information, remember we are wanting to track the bend axis, which is Z. And as we've done before, let's make sure that our axis order in the Z has been set to XZY. Alright. So once we're good to go here, we can go ahead and take a look at our rotation. So that's going to work out just fine. Let's now start to set up our bend control. So we'll go ahead and create a circle. Alright, from there, we'll go ahead and quick align this over to the forearm. Let's make sure we set the radius to 1. In world mode, we can go ahead and move this out, let's say to about a value of 9 in the Y. That way it doesn't intersect with the elbow control. Alright, that looks good. Let's go ahead and rename this object. That's going to be Enum L Elbow Stretch 01. Let's go ahead and have this stored in controls. Alright, now we want this linked to the forearm bone. Let's take care of that. Great. We know that its pivot needs to be right on top of the forearm. So we'll take care of that next. We'll just quick align it there. We can go in and reset the X-form on this object now. Let's collapse it down. Alright, great. This would be a good time to recolor this object. And then make sure that it has a group. So go ahead and create our group. Let's go ahead and rename this to L Elbow Stretch Control GRP01. Let's now open the group. We need to make sure that this group, its pivot is right on top of the forearm as well. So let's take care of that. We'll head over to our hierarchy panel and we'll quick align to the bone. From there, selecting both objects, let's go ahead and freeze their transforms. Okay, once they're cleaned up, we now need to tie the z-axis of our forearm into the z-axis of our group. So let's go ahead and find our expose node. We'll right-click and choose wire parameters. That's going to be transform rotation, transform object, local Euler Z. There we go. And we want to tie that into our groups, rotation Euler Z. Okay. Now remember, in order for this to be averaged between the elbow and shoulder, we just want to take the result here and we need to multiply by negative 0.5. We'll now go ahead and connect. And let's test this out. As we start to move our IK arm, you can see that the control moves just fine. Now a good test would be to switch to FK and make sure that it also holds up well, making sure that axis order that we have chosen is going to be the right axis order to use, and as you can see, it sure is. Looks good. Alright, so I'll go ahead and use transform to 0 to bring this back. Let's make sure that the group is stored in the hidden layer. And we know that for this control, it should only move. We don't want to rotate nor scale. So we'll go ahead and head over to our hierarchy panel, choose link info, and let's go ahead and lock down rotation, and we'll lock down scaling control. Alright, so now it's time to go ahead and apply our position constraints to basically finish this up. Let's go ahead and go back to layers. Let's start with the forearm. So go ahead and take our connect curve. Remember, it's easier to just go in and apply our position constraints. We'll tie that to the animation control. And now we can scroll down and remove the original weight here that's tied to the forearm. So just go ahead and delete the target. Now we can go in and hide the forearm layer and go ahead and show the shoulder layer to take care of this connect curve. So with it selected, again, we'll position constraint. Let's go ahead and take a look at the weight, making sure we have constrained to the right object. Looks good. And we'll delete the first weight. We'll go ahead and hide our flexi layer, and let's now test this out. I'll grab the animation control. Let's start to pull that around. Beautiful. Okay, great. So everything has been hooked in properly. We're getting some great results here. And that's going to finish up our bend control for this elbow. So what that also means is that the left arm is finished. All right. So what we need to do is go ahead and basically transfer this over to the right arm. So by the next lesson, we'll go ahead and take a look at the finished right side, and we'll go ahead and discuss what has changed in order for everything to work. And then once we're done with that, we can go ahead and set up our finger controls. I'll also show you how to create a stretchy head rig. That's going to be really straightforward. And then we can basically get right into skinning. So just a few more tasks and we'll be good to go.